Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to cross the Øresund once again and go back to Copenhagen in Denmark, and we're going to revisit one of my favourite Danish breweries. And you've seen me review a good number of beers from these guys before, and this is one that I'm really quite interested in because there's a few different hops in this that you don't come across all that often. So for this review then we are going to go to Görløse, which is in the northwest of the city, and we're having a look at another one of the Ølkollektivet breweries. So this one is once again Gamma Brewing Company. The beer itself is called Crystal Cairn. It comes in at 8.5% ABV, and this one is another New England double IPA. We've had many good examples of this style over the last couple of years from this brewery, and you know, this is just another new one that I picked up when I was over in Kiosk in Copenhagen. They did have another one that was in there, and mainly I picked this one just because I like the artwork on it a bit better. You know, when it comes to this brewery, you are guaranteed a good beer pretty much whatever you buy. So yeah, just kind of thought this one had the nicer artwork, so I would pick this one. They were both 8.5% ABV, they were both New England double IPAs, so you know, at the end of the day there's not much else you can separate them on, I guess. But yeah, this one should be really quite nice. Always nice to review a new beer from Gamma Brewing Company, and these guys are one of the Danish breweries that I would highly recommend you check out if you are interested in Danish craft beer. There's a number of very good breweries in Copenhagen these days. Of course, Mikkeller and Toul find their roots in Copenhagen. You've got Amagerbryghus, who do some really nice stuff as well. Then in the newer breweries you've got Gamma, you have Dry and Bitter, you've got Ulsnedkeren, you've got Flying Couch, you have Slowburn are new to the game as well. You've also got Kaleidoscope are doing some really interesting stuff, and you know, you've got other very good breweries in other parts of Denmark as well. Abeltoft, Oben, all of these kind of things. There's a very, very strong craft beer scene in Denmark these days. So yeah, one of the best beer countries in the world, I think, when it comes down to it. They've got some very, very good craft breweries over there now, so if you do get the chance, check out some Danish craft beers. So yeah, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Gamma Brewing Company before. This must be review number 10 or so I've done from this brewery, and you will definitely see more added to this in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to very, very regularly because I am so close to Denmark. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about Gamma Brewing Company. So as I've told you before, Gamma Brewing Company was founded back in 2015 by 4 friends in Copenhagen who were bartenders in the various beer bars around the city, and they basically just talked one day about how it would be cool to have their own brewery, and so when the opportunity came, they went for it. So they took in another co-owner in the early days, and so the team at the brewery now are Jakob, Anders, Jesper, Koy and Nick, and they all had a little bit of home brewing experience, and 2 of them had worked in Ulsnedkeren, one of the well-known beer bars in Copenhagen, and they had actually purchased the former Stronzo brewery in Görløse, which is what became Ølkollektivet. So apparently they were invited to join Ølkollektivet, and they got a very good deal on a 20 hectolitre tank, and so they started the brewery without any experience of having run their own company, and it went very, very well for them. And they, at the moment, I believe they're producing around 500 hectolitres of beer per year. That figure might be a little bit inaccurate because I've had that figure for about a year or so, so maybe they have expanded a little bit since then, but they're exporting to various different countries throughout Europe. I know that I can get these beers at home in Scotland. I think the Dutch guys are getting them as well. I'm not sure if they've made it outside of Europe yet, right enough. But one of the co-owners in the brewery is also the co-owner of the May, the Ulsnedkeren bar, which you'll find in Aarhus over on Øland, the Danish mainland as well. But Ølkollektivet is home to quite a number of breweries. The Collective Brewery, or Beer Collective if you like, as it translates into English. So Ølkollektivet are based there. There's Gamma Brewing and there's Dry and Bitter. Those are the main 3 these days, but at other points, the Bad Seed beers were brewed there under contract before they got their own brewery close to Aarhus, and Ghost Brewing have also brewed there. I think Bad Rooster also sorry, just Rooster Brewing Company. They used to brew there for a period of time as well, but both of these companies, as I say, have moved on to their own facilities. But as of August 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 95 different kinds of beer, and yeah, as I say, one of the Danish breweries that you really want to keep an eye on. I have noticed that Cairn have been a little bit more prolific in recent times. They've got some more cans and stuff coming out now, so I will need to see about getting a couple of those to review for you on the channel the next time I go over to Copenhagen. But of course, you know, there's certain breweries that I always look out for when I head over there. You know, the Abeltofts, the Bad Seeds, you know, Gamma, Amar, Dry and Bitter, Ulsnegren, you know, all of these kind of guys. There's a very, very strong craft beer scene over there, as I said. So yeah, try some Danish beers if you get the chance, and Gamma are definitely one of the ones that should be top of the list. Mainly these guys produce different IPAs and double IPAs and things like that. They are starting to produce a few more sours, so I will need to see about reviewing a sour for you at some point from them, and I think I've had one Imperial Stout from them in the past, which was really quite well done. I would love to see these guys do a few more different beers and things like that. I'd love to see them do a Pilsner or a Lager actually. There's quite a few of the breweries now that have been specialising in IPAs have started to try their hand at Lager beers actually. So yeah, something I definitely want to see from these guys sometime soon. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Gamma Brewing Company for the moment. Check them out if you get the chance. If you want to learn more about this brewery, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to let you know more about all the different beers that they've done. 95 in 5 years is pretty impressive, I have to say. So yeah, rate of about 20 different beers a year. But yeah, just to tell you a little bit about this beer itself then before we open it up. This one is an 8.5% New England double IPA. It's hopped with Belma, Cashmere, Comet and Mosaic, and it's got a malt base of Golden Promise, malted oats, torrefied wheat and dextrin malt, and it uses WLP 66 yeast, which is quite a common one for the New England IPAs. So yeah, two of the hops in this you don't come across all that often. So Comet, this is another American hop. This one is usually quite commonly used in craft lagers. It was grown quite widely in Oregon for about 40 years, but it's been resurrected in Germany apparently, and apparently it gives, you know, kind of big grapefruit and resinous flavours. It's usually between 9 and 12% acid, alpha acid. Belmont, on the other hand, is one that I've only come across once or twice before. So my research on this one, so it says that it was released in 2012 by Hops Direct, and it was grown at the Puterbau Farm in Yakima Valley, which I believe is Washington State in America, on the west coast if I remember rightly, but it's supposed to give a mixture of orange, melon and strawberry, and it typically gives you between 9 to 12% alpha acid, and it's this one that I'm really curious to see how it turns out. Cashmere, of course, is a really lovely lemon limey hop. You do get a bit of melon out of that as well, and yeah, we do know, you know, we know Mosaic pretty well, you know, the kind of bright tangerine oranges. So yeah, I have to say Gamma have been mixing it up a little bit recently with the different hops that they've been using. So yeah, really, really cool stuff actually. That's one of the great things that I love about Gamma. They're always changing up the hops and using different combinations and things like that, and it always tends to work out pretty well for them actually. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open the beer up. As you can see, it is beautiful. As I mentioned earlier, I had the choice between this one and another Gamma New England double, and I just picked this one simply because it was, the artwork on it was very, very pretty, and yeah, it looked really, really quite nice. I think the other one might have been a collaboration with somebody, I can't quite remember, but yeah, as always with Gamma, you do get some very, very nice artwork on this one. So yeah, it's quite cool actually. Gamma have been releasing a few beers through Systembolaget over here in Sweden, so I don't always have to go to Glassbanken or to Copenhagen to get Gamma beers now, which is quite nice, and it's cool because I get to try some of the ones that are released in Sweden are actually some of the older ones that I've sometimes missed out on, so it's always great actually to get some different Gamma stuff through the locale of Småskaligt. So yeah, let's get this guy out then and we'll get on with the tasting. Very, very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. So like I said, this one is an 8.5% New England double IPA. We'll get it out and into the glass. This one should be really nice. I'm very curious about the Belma hops actually. Not one, as I say, not one that you see too often these days. But yeah, look at this. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured, you know, a lovely kind of bright yellow colour, this one. This is kind of what you'd expect for a New England double IPA. Of course, some of them can be slightly different colours, but yeah, if I shine the light through this one, it's a lovely big bright yellow colour there. You can see there's about a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say slightly cream coloured head. I don't think that one is quite perfect white, but yeah, definitely one of the more kind of yellow leaning New England double IPAs I've had. It looks a little bit like a kind of mango juice or something like that. But yeah, if you put your fingers behind the glass, you can see this one does have a good degree of haze to it. I will say though that this is not the haziest of New England doubles that I've come across. There may be a wee bit of sediment. We'll find out when we put the rest of the beer into the glass a little bit later. But yeah, not the haziest or soupiest and gloopiest of New England beers that I've come across actually. So yeah, it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty nice, but nothing kind of surprising about this beer in terms of the nothing surprising about this beer in terms of the appearance when you consider what style it is. So yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then and see how we get on. It smells pretty damn nice actually. So yeah, this one definitely smells a wee bit kind of, it does have a wee touch of an almost farmhousey vibe to it. But you know, I've noticed this with I think it must be this WLP yeast, because I think the other beer that I noticed this with recently, actually, who was that again? It's gone right out of my head now. I can't remember if WLP is one of the kind of Vermonty type yeasts. But yeah, you do get a little bit of the kind of sort of farmhousey thing out of this, those kind of woody, herbally, vegetally kind of yeasty notes actually, and you get a lot of that towards the back of the nose. Otherwise you've got a good little bit of the kind of smooth wheaty bitiness to it from the torrefied wheat. It's almost a little bit more grainy. I always find that torrefied wheat just comes across as a little bit more sort of grainy in terms of aroma. But yeah, the aroma of this one is really quite nice actually. So yeah, you do get more of the oaty kind of creaminess out of this one the more that you smell of it, but I think it strikes me as being quite yeasty, this this New England IPA, if nothing else. And it is pretty fresh, this one, from what I understand. I did get this when it was pretty fresh, and I've had it in the fridge maybe about 10 or so days, and I think usually, yeah, you have to let the New England ones sit in the cans about 10 or so days, just to you know, just to sort of mellow out almost. But yeah, the aroma out of that, the more and more you smell it, the more you kind of get the oaty kind of creaminess out of the beer. You start to get a good bit of the wheat as well. It really smoothens out the more that you smell. The aroma of this one. The dextrin, of course, will go some way towards making the beer smell a little bit more creamy. But yeah, I do get a good bit of the yeast out of this one, which is quite interesting. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, you do get a nice little touch of earthiness out of this one. That'll be the mosaic, and you know, that kind of builds a good bridge with the slightly more yeasty character that this beer has. Lovely kind of big floral aromaticity coming out of the beer. You've got some nice lighter kind of grassy qualities as well, and then the fruitiness on this one is really quite nice. Yeah, the aroma of this is pretty solid actually. There's a really interesting blend of fruit in there. I mean, cashmere I've always found to be quite a pungent hop, and you know, come to think of it, some of these kind of almost yeasty notes that you're getting out of this, I have noticed that a lot of the beers I get this out of do seem to have a little bit of cashmere in them. Cashmere seems to do something really interesting with them, or really unusual I guess you could say, with certain yeast strains. I first noticed it in the Green Gold brewing beers that I had from Slovenia, because I know that that the guys down there, they really love cashmere hop. They grow a lot of it on their farm actually, and I noticed that you get the same kind of vibe out of their beers. I think they use the WLP yeast as well, but yeah, the aroma that comes out of this one is just it is kind of very, very similar to that, so it must be the cashmere. You do get a good bit of melon out of this one. You can get some of the kind of juicy, it's got quite a juicy limey edge to it. I don't get so much of the kind of lemony notes. Cashmere can give you a good little bit of lemon actually, but yeah, you're getting a good chunk of melon out of this one, which will be the Belma and also the cashmere, so you really get a good chunk of melon out of this one. You do get the tangerine oranges from the mosaic as well. I'm not really getting the strawberries from I'm not really getting the strawberries that Belma's supposed to give you, but yeah, good bit of orange in there. There is a wee bit of a limey character like I said, but there's a lot of melon for me with this one. This one really has, it's the melon that's the backbone, the sort of tangerine oranges from the Belma and from the mosaic are really, they come across as quite bright actually. They almost have a little bit of zest to them. But yeah, quite limey, quite orangey, but mainly sort of melony. Actually, I really kind of like the melony notes out of this. I don't get the kind of stronger grapefruity notes from the Comet actually. That's kind of an interesting one. But yeah, the more and more that I smell this, the more convinced it's the melon that's the backbone with this one. Really, really like it. So yeah, take a little bit of time and just enjoy that aroma. The fruitiness in this one is quite juicy. It strikes me as being a slightly yeasty leaning New England IPA. It's got a good little bit of woody quality to it. Some lovely kind of slightly bigger bready notes there. The oaty creaminess is coming out, the wheaty notes are there, and it's got a lovely little bit of a kind of grassy floral vibe to it as well from the green side of the hops. I'd say that the green side of the beer, it really leans a bit more towards the kind of grassy end of the spectrum for me, but there is a wee bit of a more kind of floral note to it at the same time, but definitely more, yeah, definitely more kind of grassy for me rather than anything else. But yeah, really interesting aroma this one, and definitely cool to see the Comet and the Belma hops in this one. You don't come across those all that often. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we got on. This one is the Crystal Cairn, an 8.5% New England double IPA from Gamma Brewing, one of the Øl Kollektivet breweries in Copenhagen in Denmark. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, you know, things like this is why I love reviewing the Danish beers. This is really, really lovely, and it's a big, smooth New England double. Really like this one. Thumbs up to Gamma once again. These guys, you know, if you fancy a New England double and you've got Gamma in the fridge in the shop you're in, you know, get them. These guys are really, they know what they're doing with this style. Yeah, it's lovely, it really is. Yeah, definitely very, very smooth beer in my mind, this one. And yeah, there's not really much sediment at the bottom of the can there. I did manage to get most of it out with this one, but yeah, the aroma from this beer, the flavour, I'm saying the aroma, brain's not working, the flavour of this beer is really nice. You can see it is a little bit distinctively more hazy since I put the last little bit of it in. But yeah, this is it comes across as a lot more kind of smooth and oaty, this one, compared to you know, compared to what the aroma was kind of suggesting. I thought this one might be a little bit more kind of yeasty, and kind of maybe a little touch wheaty and bitey. But yeah, it is really kind of smooth and oaty leaning, this one, in my mind. I mean, the quality of the beer coming out of Øl Kollektivet these days is great. Dry and bitter are really, really nice. Gamma are doing some great stuff, and I've not tried any of the Ølsnedkeren beers yet, but you know, from what I've heard, their double IPAs and stuff they've been releasing recently have been really damn good actually, so I will definitely pick up one of those the next time I'm over in Copenhagen. But yeah, this is lovely. Let's try and break down the flavour of this one then. So straight away with this beer, you can feel that sort of pale malty quality, that blankets the middle of your tongue. Underneath it though, you do get an element of a kind of smooth, woody quality, and I think that's the WLP yeast that's giving you that. This beer does almost feel like it has a little bit of a slightly woody backbone to it. On the back third of your palate there, you get you do get the kind of woody base, you get the kind of grainy notes and a little bit of the kind of spicy quality there. And on top of that, you can feel the kind of smooth, big kind of white bready, wheaty notes there. It's a little touch grainy, as I say, but then as you move further forward into the kind of middle third of your palate, it is really quite nice. Yeah, as you move into the middle of your palate, it's really got a distinctive, you know, as you move towards the kind of front third of that part, you get the oats are a bit thicker, but to me the oats kind of taste as if they're really spread out and just very nice and smooth over that very central part of your palate. There is a little bit of, I think it'll be the dextrin sugar that's doing that, but there is a little touch, it's almost like on top of that kind of smooth oaty base in the middle third of your tongue, you do have just a wee layer of an almost, kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing, that almost Werther's Originally type flavour. It's not quite as prominent as it is in some of the kind of bigger triple IPAs, but you do get just a little bit of it, but it's not the most prominent. And I'd say the middle of your palate is definitely more oaty and kind of smooth. This beer, it really is one of the kind of, the malt base in this, I am impressed with it. It's really oaty leaning, but the smoothness you get out of this, I think probably due to the dextrin sugar that's in this one, is really, really nice actually. So thumbs up to Gamma. I think this is maybe the best malt base I've had on one of the New England IPAs so far. Yeah, really is very, very good, this one, and the hoppy side of this one I think is beautifully done as well. Yeah, so the back corners of the palate there, you've got a nice, you do have a nice little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward on the side of the palate, you can feel it just smooth out. You do get a nice, very smooth floral aromaticity out of this one. It's not spicy or anything at all, it's just got a nice little bit of that kind of floral edge to it, and then round the very front curve of the tongue it's a little bit lighter and grassy, and on that front third of your palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. If you go towards the very back of that front third of your tongue, it really is, there's a wee tiny touch of a slightly more pungent tropical fruit. I hesitate to say grapefruit because it's nowhere near as pungent as you'd normally expect from grapefruit. I also hesitate to say passion fruit because I really don't think it is. It almost feels as if there's a bit of a kind of limey zest to this one, but it's also quite, the melony flavours I think are quite dominant on that back third of your palate. Like, if you think about the front third of your tongue, if you go towards the kind of middle of it backward, I think there's quite a strong melony type flavour there, but if you go in front of that, kind of there towards the kind of tip of the palate, it's definitely a little bit more kind of a bright tangerine-y, orangey note you get out of it, but towards the very tip of the tongue it does develop and become a little bit more kind of limey. I don't get too much lemon out of this one, in fairness, and I definitely don't really get much of the strawberry that you're supposed to get from the Belma hops in this one. I really don't get that at all. It's quite, this is definitely a more melony, limey and orangey leaning New England IPA for me. I think those are definitely the most prominent flavours. The oranges, the tangerine oranges have a really nice brightness to them, but it's the melon. I think the melony flavours that you get out of this really, really dominate the whole thing. So yeah, it's quite woody, and quite the kind of woody backbone that this beer has, and the kind of melony notes, those are what make this one really unique, and I think it suits it down to the ground. It strikes me as quite a straight shooter, to be honest with you. I don't think this is the most complex New England that I've had from Gamma, but in fairness, I think it really is. The flavours in this one just combine together really, really well. It's another, really damn solid beer from these guys. And if you've got any experience with this brewery, I think you would back me in saying that this is what you kind of expect. This is what you expect from Gamma Brewing Company. They're very, very good in this style, and they're very highly regarded in this style for a reason. And this is just another kind of prime example of that. For 8.5% ABV, this one is stupidly drinkable as well. So on that note, let's move on to the mouthfeel of this beer. So yeah, very, very smooth. This one, like I said, but it's got an element of juiciness to it as well. It's very well balanced between having that big kind of thick, creamy smoothness and also having a little bit of a kind of wetter juiciness to it. Top end to mid-bodied, this one. Carbonation is very, very smooth. Like I say, it's got a bit of wetness to it, but at the same time very, very smooth in its mouthfeel overall. Low bitterness in my mind. This one, I think this is could it be 25 IBUs, something like that. Not sure exactly what the IBU count in this one is, but yeah, it's got to be 25. It's very, very smooth. As I say, with the floral notes, you don't really get much of a kind of spiciness or dryness to it. It's really very, very smooth in terms of the hoppy side of things. But yeah, lovely kind of lighter grassy notes on the front part of the palate. But yeah, definitely a little bit of zest. It's got the fruits in this are lovely and juicy, but at the same time they do have a little bit of that kind of zestiness to them as well. So yeah, thumbs up to Gamma Brewing for the way this one turned out. I really like how this one goes together. I've been noticing that it's quite nice to go and have. I've always been a sucker for a kind of orangey leaning IPA, but when it comes to the New Englands, I have to admit I do like the sort of melony, lemon limey leaning ones as well. I think that's where my sort of my kind of flavour palette, one of my sort of favourite flavour profiles. Maybe that's where where it comes out actually in this one. I really like how this goes together. So yeah, again, thumbs up to Gamma Brewing for this one. Check out this brewery if you haven't had something from them already. But yeah, lovely stuff. So yeah, in terms of the kind of hoppy bitterness, like I say, just about 20 IBUs. The malt base is really kind of thick and creamy. This one, I do like the kind of woody element that the beer has. You really find that kind of smoothness from the wood, the kind of slightly woody flavours that the yeast has given the beer. It comes out a little bit more the further you go into the aftertaste. The fruits are nice and juicy as well, and again they feel quite wet and bright actually, which is very, very nice. So yeah, thumbs up to Gamma Brewing Company for this one. I think they've pulled off a really, really nice beer in this case. So definitely one of the more kind of citrusy, zesty leaning New Englands for me. I have to admit, I do enjoy a good melony leaning New England IPA, and I've had a few of those recently, and this one, yeah, it really kind of fits into that regard as well. So yeah, great stuff once again from Gamma Brewing. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this review. Another very, very solid New England double from these guys. Stupidly drinkable for 8.5%, I have to say. This is, you know, crazily easy to drink at that kind of percentage. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Gamma Brewing Company as well. It's been really nice to review this one for you, and you will see another Gamma review coming up fairly shortly. I think they've just released Fractal here in Sweden, so I'll need to see if I can get a hold of a can of that and review it for you here on the channel, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This one was the Crystal Cairn, coming in at 8.5% ABV, a New England double IPA from Gamma Brewing Company in Gørløse to the northwest of Copenhagen in Denmark. Slanja, skål, cheers, catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out Gamma Brewing Company, check out my social media, but most importantly, check out these guys and check out some Danish beers. Great stuff there.